Welcome to the Hotel Tech Podcast. This is the show where we tackle your most pressing issues to bring your business more wins. Keeping up with technology is challenging. Our experts are here to help you figure it all out. Here's your hosts, Glenn Hausman and Estella Hale.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hotel Tech Podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. I'm excited and delighted to have every one of you here today. I am particularly excited about today's topic, but before I get ahead of myself, let me bring in my most amazing, incredible, fantastic, unbelievable co-host. That is Miss Estella Hale, the Chief Product Evangelist with SHR, which is, of course, Scepter Hospitality Resources. She's one of the smartest people that I know, especially when it comes to technology. Estella, it's great to see you today, and I'm hoping that you don't outsmart me too much today. I'm not sure my ego can handle it.
I don't know about that. I think definitely the topics that we tackle are interesting ones, but we always make them to where they are super interesting and relevant to the audience. So never trying to outsmart anyone here.
Well, that's good. All right. So I'm excited to have everybody here today. And before we get into our show, which I know is going to be a great one, I'm excited to say that it looks like we're going to be over at the High Tech Conference this coming June in Minneapolis, doing some special stuff there. We're not going to tell all of our secrets right now, but just make sure you buckle up for safety because it is going to be a good one. So today we have an incredible guest.
Very exciting.
Yes, right? Right? So
yes.
We
Definitely.
don't want to tell too many secrets right now. But like I said, you better buckle up for safety because it is going to be dangerous. All right. So today we have Mr. Anil Aggarawal, who's the CEO of Milestone. We're going to be talking a little bit about voice search. Now, Anil, great to have you on board. You are somebody that I absolutely respect and admire, and somebody who's always seemed way ahead of the technology game in our incredible hospitality industry. So welcome aboard the Hotel Tech Podcast.
Hey, Glenn. Thank you so much for having me join your call. I listen to your podcast all the time and can't tell you how excited I am to be on this call. So looking forward to this
excellent
conversation, and I think we've had a lot of panels together, so very excited.
Yeah, we sure have. I've worked with Anil plenty on stage before, but this is the first time we're actually doing a podcast together. In all the years I've been doing various podcasts. Back in my old job, I did podcasts. Now I've been doing this new series for a while, so it's great to have you on board. Anil, I think what I'm going to do is switch it up a little bit and let Estella introduce the topic of today. Estella, that is, if you're okay with it.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Anil, so much for joining us in today's podcast. It is just such an important and relevant topic for our audience. We're going to be talking about voice search. We're going to be talking about how hotels can reach their guests through voice, what that means for them, and also how they can, in fact, have a voice themselves on how to respond to those guests. And again, because we look at bringing that really relevant knowledge in the industry, we really wanted to take your take on voice search and how to interact with guests and customers in this arena.
But before we do that, Anil, I did want to tell our audiences that we're talking about voice search, computer search. We're not talking old school voice search, kind of like what the Bradys had to do when looking for Bobby and Cindy in the Grand Canyon. So it's none of that, Bobby, Cindy. This is real search empowered by big data, artificial intelligence, and all sorts of stuff like that. But if we're all lucky at the end of this show, we might be able to get some hot dogs and beans and a flashlight. If we're lucky. All right, sorry for the 1970s Brady Bunch references there. I couldn't help myself. Anil, tell us a little bit about the state of voice search today.
All right. So the biggest question is what's really driving voice search, right? So there's a lot of people who, why are suddenly people talking to their devices when they're used to typing it in? And there are really two trends that are making that change, making that happen. The first and foremost is mobile, right? So I have two teenagers. I guess I've got a teenager and an adult kid, and they both talk to the phones. They resist typing as much as they can, even if they have to scold Siri a few times. And but so the mobile phone is driving a lot of the voice usage because people talk to their phone. Hey Siri, where can I find the best sushi in San Francisco? The second
wait, hold on, Anil. Where can we find the best sushi in San Francisco? I need to know this right now.
Well, you should try that. Sometimes the answer does come out. It's Enzo restaurant, Hotel Nico in San Francisco.
All right, that's good to know. But please continue.
Yeah, and then the second thing which is driving voice search is the screenless device search, right? So all your Google Homes, Alexas, and Google different devices, or car, being able to do the search from the car, all of these sort of what we call screenless devices. So they're causing an increase in continued increase in voice queries. And the voice queries are slightly different from queries you type in. For a simple example is if I was looking for a hotel in Times Square, when I type it in, I would just say Times Square Hotel. But if I talk to Google Home or Google Assistant, or if I talk to Alexa, I'm not going to say Times Square Hotel. I'm going to say, hey Google, tell me about this hotel near Times Square that has this and this amenities, or it has a spa, or so on and so forth.
Right.
So I think those are the two big things that are, and if you look at the usage pattern of where people are using voice, it sort of reflects that 52% of the time voice is being used in the car, or while doing another activity like outdoors or something.
That makes sense.
And I think it's what's expected is about 50% of the search will be voice-based by 2020, and whether it's 2020, 2021, we don't know, but it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I would say at this point in time, as we're recording this, or as it's released in April of 2019, more than half of Americans have used voice search. So we're already getting more comfortable with it. We're already getting used to doing this instead of doing it in other ways. And I see big opportunities for hoteliers in the future. Estella, how are you seeing it?
I agree, and we're seeing this pervasive throughout. Again, on the home devices, from the remote control, from the applications and the devices that do not have any screens. And that is for us today that are used to typing. So for forthcoming generations of those internet users, this has to be much more pervasive, and something that hotels are going to have really an opportunity to see and to discover what kind of questions are going to be asked about them, to see what, it's almost like user-generated content, user-generated questions.
Right. And, you're exactly right, Estella. So people are talking to the one interesting thing, you talked about user-generated content, and one interesting thing that we see, the only difference between a regular computer generated, like something that you type on the computer screen versus what you talk is, it's a conversational search. It's conversational. It's people are talking as if it's another human being. So it's actually good quality user generated content, but it's also very indicative of very specific needs that people have. So that's another thing that we're seeing.
It's interesting. So how then how are hoteliers going to be able to use voice search? I typically hear about it in regards to everything happening on the property level, such as Alexa, bring me more towels, or whatever it might be, or Alexa, make me an appointment at the spa, that sort of thing. Is this what we're talking about? Or are we talking about taking this voice search in order to be able to research and secure lodging accommodations?
I think it's going to happen on all fronts. Those are the two big areas that you described, whether it's operational, like Alexa in the room, hey, Alexa, can you get me a beer, right? And it would be perfect for a beer to show up. So I think that's on the operations side.
You're right about that. And let me try that now. Alexa, bring me a beer. No, it's not working in my house. Damn!
You got a beer, Glenn?
I know.
Yeah. But what we're focused on is more outward bound, right? That's where I think what we're focused on is how do we enable voice search on websites or different devices or booking engines so that consumers can actually find you easier and they can book rooms easier. And I think we classify the queries into two categories there from outward looking. One is what we call informational search, or more about, hey, what are the top 5 things to do? Hey, I want to go to this theater. Are you close to the theater? Where's the parking? Do you have parking at your hotel? And the second category is more of, hey, Alexa, I want to book a room at this in New York City on 29th night in the range of less than $300. Do you have any options?
Right.
So I think there are two of those. Right now, majority of our focus is on the first part, which is more informational search. But eventually, I think it'll, once people start using it more and more, and as some of the engines become more voice search capable, you will find consumers trying to book rooms as well.
Thank you, Anil. And I think that's so important for our audience, to mention to our clients and our audience that taking advantage of these opportunities of relevant content that exists today and making it available in these devices such as Google and Alexa for those questions to be answered is important. Just as hotels have not stopped paying attention to the content that is available online, on online travel agencies, even on their HOD on the GDS, this is another very relevant place in which to get that content out to the guest. And so taking advantage of that opportunity and using what is available today and providing these answers with skills, answers. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, Estella, I think that's a great question, and what a great opportunity there is to get your content right. So, if you think of what we're doing is, in a certain way, if you want to make your websites and your booking engines and your digital assets voice search compatible, what you have to do is write the content on those platforms to map to how voice search is being conducted. And like I said, the big thing that we're finding in voice search is that it's more conversational, it's a full sentence. And what you have to do is you have to now create content on your websites, on your platforms, different platforms that sort of addresses the answer in that way. So that's, I think, the first and foremost is to really research what people are asking on voice, and the clue for what people are asking, Google or Bing, they don't separate voice queries from typed in queries, but it's very easy to detect because a voice query is a full sentence versus a text query, which is a keyword, like which is four words. So you detect what people are asking on voice, you create the content, you write the answers to those questions, and you structure the content on your website to answer that. And, this is sort of like a one-way process in the sense it's going to continue to move in that direction. So, and your website certainly now becomes more informative, more useful to the consumer because that's how they're thinking. They're not thinking keywords, they're thinking full questions or full conversations. So to answer your question, Estella, yeah, exactly. I think there's a huge opportunity to restructure the content so that you're addressing it for voice search, and I think it should make your website more user-friendly anyways.
Excellent. I think this is terrific, and I want to know some tips on how you restructure your website for those that might not be as technological savvy as you are, Neil. But before we do that, I want to get to a commercial break, and as soon as we come back on the other side, I want to hear your answer. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back with more of the Hotel Tech Podcast. The 100% cloud-based SkyTouch hotel operations platform is designed to enhance guest experience, advance performance, and achieve growth. The sky's the limit with the SkyTouch PMS, advanced rate and group management tools, advanced business intelligence tools, /Connect API, and SkyTouch University and customer community. Visit skytouchtechnology.com to learn more. And we're back with the Hotel Tech Podcast and our guest, Anil Aggarawal. Now, Anil, I'm curious as to how we need to reorient our thinking in order to make your hotel's website really respond when it comes to voice. Is it really just about the writing of the text on the site that's going to get read back by the computer, or is there some other methodology that we need to think about? I'm having a little trouble wrapping my whole brains around how all of this works because I'm a guy that uses voice, but I only say things. I don't actually have to make it work on the other end.
Right. So it's a very good question. Very good. So there's really two components to voice, setting up voice search on your website. The first component is writing the content, right? So what you do is, one of the ways we started doing it is we started putting this page on the website, what we call frequently asked questions. And we would put, we would research what people are asking on different search channels and different engines and all long tail queries. And, sometimes we would even talk to the front desk concierge. And Hotel Nico in San Francisco is a great example of where we've done that.
I hear they have great sushi.
We would put a page called
Sorry, Anil. Go on.
Yeah. And then what you would do is you'd answer those questions, and you get the right answers from So now you have your content on the page. So that's step one, getting the content. The next thing what you have to do is that all the search engines got together a few years ago, and because of again mobile and screenless searches, etc. What they said is it'll be great if you can tag your content, and these are the tags that you put on the back end of the website. So what you do is with these questions that we've created, right? We tag them with what we call a question schema or a FAQ schema. Google and it keeps evolving. But basically, there is a voice search schema or tag that you put on those questions. So now what you've done is you've created the content, and you've made sure that when the search engines index your website, they recognize that this content is optimized for questions, or it's optimized for voice search. So that's part one. The part two then is what you have to do is go into Alexa and Google, and what you have to do is create Alexa skills and Google actions, right? So that's part two of voice search. Basically, what you're doing is now you're training the Alexa and Google Assistant and Alexa that, hey, when the users query these questions, this is the website that will answer that question, and these are the questions that are going to be answered. The beauty of all of that is it sort of learns on its own. So there's the Google platform and Alexa, they're all AI driven. So you don't have to actually specifically answer the question that the consumer is asking. Those platforms keep getting smarter, and they're driven by AI. So they're going to be able to interpret that this is the question that's being asked, and here is the answer on the website. So that's how that works.
That is so cool, Anil. And then it also sounds like you're almost holding the hand of the hotelier and bringing them deeper and deeper into really adopting the ability to use voice search for answering their guest questions. But it sounds like there's also a level of service there where the hotel knows their market, they know their expertise, they know what it is the most relevant that they want to answer, but it's also a combination of software and also service in making those skills and making those actions, and then just knowing at one point that search engine is going to take over and fill the gaps.
Yes, you're right. So there is a service element to this, which is really understanding what is being asked of in the market by the consumers, right? And then generating that content, and then the technology comes in and how you tag the sites, and then technology comes in creating the actions and skills. And then it's a never-ending process, because what you do is it keeps there will be questions that don't get answered, right? And you figure that out, what questions were not answered, and then you keep. And we have a software platform, so the complexity of creating the questions and creating the answers and then making sure that they stream to your website. It's fairly complex, and what we've done is we've created a separate software which for doing just managing FAQs that feeds into your website. So you can go in there and you can write the questions, you can see which questions were not answered, and then you can feed those. And the beauty of that platform is that not only feeds into your website, but you can feed it into your chatbots, or you can feed it into any other place that you want.
Right. And that's actually one of the reasons I bring it up. Of course, as you know, this is the Hotel Technology Podcast, and we speak with just brilliant technologists time and again. And I think that's an aspect of whenever you're really changing or disrupting a paradigm of how things are done, having that strength of robust software, but that the understanding of service is really what will get the comfort of let's do it differently. And I think that's where I want to take us next, booking through voice and what that means. I foresee that the traditional paradigm of availability request and availability response at one point will be broken, but we're also used to responding back to those availability requests. And so I think that understanding amongst technologists and that understanding of the layer of service and understanding the part that each of us plays is what allows us to experiment and to bridge this gap with technology.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And, the booking process is very interesting because the consumer asks many, many different kinds of questions. And I think my gut is that a straightforward booking is, hey, I'm going to New York City and I need a hotel under $300. Or if I know that I want to book at your hotel, that becomes even easier, right? Hey, can you book me a room at Hotel XYZ in New York City? Mm-hmm. And I think my gut is it's going to start with simplistic things like that. And then, but eventually we have to train this engine to be able to really converse back and forth, right? So because it's not just one-way communication, just book me this room. It's a question of, do you have availability? Do you have a pool? And do you have this? And all those things that they're typing or check marking, you have to enable those on voice.
Well, Neil, it sounds to me that this is where machine learning comes in, and I'm going to explain it not for you, but for some of our listeners out there that don't understand what machine learning is. It's the whole idea that computers could get smarter and smarter over time by processing all of that big data information and learning from that information on its own. So do you feel that that's what's going to be happening when it comes to voice search for hotels? And if so, does that mean that maybe some less sophisticated hoteliers with technology might want to just sit on the sidelines for a little bit, or do they need to jump in right away?
I think from my perspective, this phenomena of voice, so let me give a couple of other sidebars, right?
Yes.
Because the search is heading this way, what is actually happening is when you start to structure your website with this kind of stuff, not only do you see some, we deployed it in so many places and we see a pickup in voice queries, but you actually start seeing better organic search results as well.
Right.
So what that's telling you is the whole search is evolving into this, right? So the Google algorithms and Bing algorithms, they're evolving to make this happen. So from that perspective, it's sort of the right thing to do, right? Now, question of when you jump into something like this, that's each hotel has a different timeline for this. But yes, especially if you're an independent hotel and you don't have a brand behind you, this is something that you gotta stay ahead of. The only way to stay ahead of large OTAs or large investments that OTAs or large brands make,
right,
is to stay ahead on the technology curve. And this is one of those things that actually gets you ahead of the game.
So you would recommend that people do make that investment now, which makes a lot of sense. Estella?
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like how Anil framed it earlier about, let's take a look at your content. Let's look at those frequently asked questions from your guests, but also what is that narrative that you have to say that it's important about your property? So starting with an understanding of what hotels use today for their hotel description, for their reference points, how they would answer very hospitable to all of these questions, and taking that and then having the vision that they fulfill with technology and finding that technology partner that can understand and give them that service. But it's really having that vision of making their content, which they do exist, they know they are experts at it from knowing their property, and then making that and structuring in a way where a voice assistant can bring that message out to them. I don't know, Anil, but to me, from that perspective, it makes it sound a little bit less scary.
It's really not scary. I think there's human element, very heavy human element involved. I think what you're trying to do is really just, you're trying to cater to the changing tastes of the consumer, the younger kids. Unlike definitely me, they don't want to talk to people. They want to just get their information on the fingertips. And what you got to do is adapt to that. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's all one way. And I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. It's just how it is. And I'm pretty certain the world will adapt to it. I mean, I was going to tell you, like, we deployed this in a hotel in Boston, and we're just blown away by the number of people who are actually talking to Google Assistant every day. I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it's surprised me, and we see the kind of questions they're asking. They're asking all kinds of stuff. So it's very interesting. I mean, they're asking some transactional stuff like what you described as Estella, like they're asking about, hey, do you have, how much is a spa or how much is this? But they're also asking, what can I do in Boston and what can I do here and how far are you from the airport and do you offer a shuttle? So it's very interesting. So I don't. Technology doesn't scare me. I think to me, it's always an opportunity to, connect with your guests better because that's how the trends are.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So where is all of this going? What is the final thing that hoteliers should be prepared to do? Because it sounds to me, just like the rise of the internet, it's going to be something that's critical and inevitable for your future success.
Absolutely. So we have one message to our hotels that you want to lead with technology, especially I think Estella, from what you were commenting earlier, independent hotels, people who don't have the backing of large marketing dollars of OTAs and brands. You got to put money behind technology because that's what's going to get you to compete. And whether you're going to get a lot of bookings through voice search today or a lot of new customers from voice search today or not, I think it's a process. It's going to continue to increase. But what it is definitely going to do is bring you more customers. If you set up your site for these kind of things, it's going to set you up for next generation of search. And we're seeing a positive impact today from doing it that way. So it's the right thing to do. It's not wasted dollars, or you're going to see an increase in revenue just from organic search right away if you do these things. So and I see a lot of hotels jumping into it because of that, because they're seeing good increases.
And hoteliers are investing on their customer engagement in many areas, in many arenas, and so this one should not be overlooked.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any final thoughts, Anil?
No, I think we covered it all, Estella, and I think my recommendation to hoteliers or people who are listening to this podcast is voice search is your next generation of search. Make sure your site's optimized for that. Don't focus on how many people are searching by voice, because regardless of how many people are searching, this is where the algorithms are set up and this is where the technology is heading. So you want to make sure your site is set up for that. Eventually it's a one-way street or one-way. It's going to happen. So if anybody out there is questioning whether voice will be the primary mechanism through which people will book hotels, I think it's going to happen. It's growing very fast right now. So make use of the technology that's available and get ahead of the game.
Beautiful. I love that strategy. And Anil, we like to end all the shows with an opportunity for you to share anything you'd like about yourself and your company, Milestone Internet. So give us a good shameless plug, sir.
Well, thank you, Glenn. First of all, I'll say something positive. I've known Glenn for over 12 years, 14 years, and he's always a joy. So please do listen to his podcast.
Thank you for shamelessly plugging my podcast. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, how about yourself, Anil? How about yourself? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and Milestone I think is a little bit unique in that we are a very big technology player. We're not only a digital agency, but we're a very huge technology development player. So we have a lot of platforms, and we're doing a lot of very innovative stuff, which lets our customers get ahead of the game, so they make more money, and then everybody else catches up, and then you jump on to the next thing. So this is one of those things that we're innovating on. We're doing this not only for hotels, but a lot of big brands. And we're seeing very good success. So hopefully you take a look at our website, milestoneinternet.com, or call us, and we can help you with voice search.
Beautiful. How about you, Estella?
Just thank you again, Anil. This has been so interesting, illuminating. It really helps bridge the gap into what hoteliers need to take into consideration today. And for our audience to let them know, just like you are using voice today to make purchasing decisions, your guests are as well. So think of the strategy of how you want to reach them, how you want that answer to be given about your property, and reach out to partners and technologists such as Anil, such as Milestone, to make that vision really come to fruition with technology, which is the tool.
I love that. Such smart words. And one of the things that I find hoteliers don't do often enough is think of themselves as the consumer, how they shop for products and services. And if you shop some way and your hotel is not reflecting your personal customer behavior, you're probably missing out on opportunity. And I hate for all of you to do that too. So if you are going to do voice search in the future, I hope that you ask for the Hotel Tech podcast to be served right up to you, which you can get twice every single month on the No Vacancy Podcast Network. I want to thank everyone for listening today. You can find this show, recording, and all past shows on SHR's website, which is shr.global, and also on the No Vacancy News Network. You can find us at novacancynews.com, and of course on Facebook, LinkedIn, where we'd love to get your reviews, your thoughts, share us out there, and of course on iTunes, Google Play, and wherever finer podcasts are found. And we're also where some not so fine podcasts are as well. And if you want to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, which covers both the Hotel Tech podcast, the No Vacancy podcast, the Hotel Design podcast, the Business of Hotels podcast, the Here to Stay TV podcast, and more great content, text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. It'll prompt you to add your email address, and you will be on our newsletter. I want to thank everybody for listening. We'll be back next time with another great episode of the Hotel Tech podcast. Meanwhile, I'm off to go search for Bobby and Cindy with some Alexa voice search. See you next time.